Hi everyone, it's Christy Haig here, and I am excited to share with you today a trick for creating a shadow in Photoshop Elements that allows for greater customization than the actual drop shadow styles that come in Photoshop Elements. On the One Little Bird blog, some of you might have noticed that Peppermint has a wonderful tutorial on how to customize the look of shadows to make them look very realistic. She wrote the tutorial using the full version of Photoshop though, which allows for the shadow to be created in its own layer, and that is a trick that does not come as an option in the drop shadow styles that are part of Photoshop Elements. But that's okay, because we can easily create our own shadow in its own layer, and then we will be able to use all of the great techniques in the One Little Bird tutorial. So I'm going to start here. I have a paper and a flower that come from Rise and Shine by One Little Bird Designs, and I'm going to start by creating a new layer. So I have the background layer here, you'll notice on the right, and this little button here says Create New Layer, and that'll pop up a blank layer in between the flower and the background layer. Next, I'm going to hold down the Control key, or on a Mac the Command key, and click right on this little thumbnail of the flower. And what that does is that selects the area of the flower, but you'll notice that I still have the blank layer selected in the Layers palette. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill this area right underneath the flower with a shadow. And you can first come over and pick your color by clicking here, and this is the color code that Peppermint recommends on her blog post. And so you can just copy and paste that right into here, and it'll pick this very dark burnt orange color. And then using the paint can tool, we simply come over and click, and you'll notice that you can't see anything right here because it's completely under the flower, but if you come over to the Layers palette, you'll see that we did spill paint right into that area there. So now I'm going to go up and select and deselect to get rid of those marching ants. And I'm going to choose the Move tool. Now, I like to have my shadows go down and to the left, so I'm going to use the keys on my keyboard to move the shadow down and a little bit to the left. You'll notice that it's still a very hard defined shape, not really a shadow yet. So we're going to go up to Filter and choose Blur, and you're going to want this one right here. And let's see if I can find it here. You'll see what it does is it takes this shape and it blurs it. And then this is how you can customize it. And just make sure this preview box is checked, because it'll allow you to see what's happening right here on your layout, and pick how blurred of a shadow you want. And if you're unsure, and you want it to match some of the other shadows on your layout, just make sure that you study them so you can see the kind of look that you want to get. And click OK. So now you have 3 layers. We have the flower, we have the shadow layer, and the background layer. And because your shadow layer is in its own layer, you can now do all of the different customizations. Some that Peppermint talks about on her blog, and then there are of course many others that you can find in other classes or tutorials. Let me just show you a couple examples from her blog. There's changing the blending mode here. I believe she uses linear burn. You can change the opacity, how see-through that shadow becomes. You can use just the Move tool to move the shadow around as you want. And you can also use the Smudge tool, which she uses on her blog. That's found here in the Enhance section, and when you come down here you'll see this little finger pointing. That's the Smudge tool that you can use to sort of pull or push the shadow in different directions. So there you have it, creating a shadow in its own unique layer in Photoshop Elements.